And that's when I decided to do my show. And I didn't want to do it like a rip off of anyone else. I wanted to kind of do my own spin on it. So honestly, anymore, I don't even really listen to podcasts because I don't want to be influenced by anybody else. Like I might listen to an episode here or there, but I don't try and sound like anyone else. I don't try and do anything else. I enjoy what I do. And it all stems from basically not actually knowing what happened that night. I don't think I was abducted by aliens. I don't think I necessarily saw a dog man in the sense of it being a dog man. But I also don't know. And I think because I don't know is why it bothers me.
And you might never get that answer too. That could be something
No.
that just you try to rationalize for the rest of your life, and you're just never going to be able to.
It's literally something that kind of just eats at the back of my mind. I know it sounds weird and everyone else is like, oh, he's being a whiny little bitch about it. But no, it's not even what I'm saying. Like, literally, there's not a day that goes by that I don't randomly just think about that day. Like, there's not a day that doesn't go by that I'm like, you know what? I wonder if I want to see that again. Like, as bad as I want to see that MFer just come out in the middle of the road one day. I'm going to run his ass over. Like, that's going to be my justification. I'm just going to tromp the gas down and just splatter him. And they're like, haha, now I'm going to find out what you are. And if he comes back up and stands up and eats me, then cool. It's an awesome way to go out, I guess. But
Yeah.
that's just, I've said that before about Bigfoot too. It's like, if I'm ever out in the woods, I'm going to be the idiot that dies because I'm going to chase after it. Everyone else just like stands there and watches it walk off. No, I'm running after it. And I guess if he
Yeah.
rips me limb to limb, I was like, that's an awesome way to go. What happened to that guy? Oh, a bear ripped him apart. No, I'm on live stream. If I can think and remember, I'm on live stream on Facebook or whatever. My live stream chasing Bigfoot. So I say that, but again, I'd probably be the person that sees him and just freeze again. We all say things until we think we have something good going on, and then all of a sudden it doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, so you mentioned about having some stuff going on around your house. Do you want to talk about that before we head out and wrap up?
Now, this stuff is more creepy, I think, than even that what I experienced. Because this, to me, it literally is recent. And it involves my children, and I don't like that at all. Like, and if you have kids, anyone listening, if you have kids, you understand what it's like to want to protect your children and what it feels like to not be able to. Makes you feel like you're a failure as a parent.
Yeah,
But
just
basically,
inadequate.
I've mentioned it before, so I think I actually mentioned a little bit of it on that episode with Ryan them too. But back when we moved into this house, we bought the house in 2020. The lady had told us that all the doors have built-in crosses on them. Never took any stock into that. I was just like, okay. I mean, they do, like, there's a cross at the bottom, it's like almost upside down. It comes up, and this one is like a cross at the top. It's just how the doors are made. I didn't think anything of it, but it does look like a cross if you look at it. They had Jesus pictures up on the walls and all sorts of things like that. So they were just an old couple. They'd lived here since, I think, 1995. So they'd been in the house for like 25 years. The house was built in 1978. I think one other person lived in it before they did, and no one's ever passed away. Well, before we'd moved in completely, I'm painting a lot of stuff. So we didn't want to bring everything in with me having to paint. I went out and bought one of those paint sprayer guns just to try and hurry up and get everything painted quicker than rolling it and stuff. So I'm in the kitchen spray painting, and at the time we had a miniature schnauzer. And this freaking dog would growl at a leaf blowing if he had. Like, if he's seen something new, he's going to be growling at it. That's just how he was. And he's in the living room, and I hear him growling. So I'm like, I don't think a whole lot about it because that's what he does. Like, but then I hear a, it still does it to this day. There's a spot in the living room. If you step, you hear the floorboard creak. And I knew what it was because I'd walked through there and I've heard it before. So I go and peek my head around the corner, and he's just growling at nothing. He's staring at the direction of that noise, but there's nothing there. So I'm like, Jack, shut up. And I just go back to painting. But I had goosebumps. Like, it kind of creeped me out. I don't usually get creeped out by things. But that kind of just made me a little iffy. I was like, that's strange. And then just went about my business. Kept painting, whatever. It's probably about 2 weeks later. We'd moved in. And my bedroom is on this end of the house. There's 3 bedrooms on that end of the house. My bedroom, my daughter's bedroom, and my son's bedroom. I end up, where I'm at down here in the basement, I end up building, there's a bedroom back here for my older stepson and a bedroom on the other side for my older stepdaughter. So I built 2 bedrooms for them, and the 2 little kids are upstairs by my wife and I. Our son wasn't even born. We didn't even know she was pregnant with him until we bought the house. We went from a bigger house to a smaller house and found out we're having a bigger family. I was like, well, story of my life. Go from having enough room to not enough rooms, and now I had to build bedrooms. But basically, we're laying in bed, and like older houses have like the pull down blinds, like they roll up.
Yeah, yeah.
We pulled it down, get in bed, not a big deal. We're laying in bed, and that freaking blind just shoots up, scares the living crap out of us. We laugh it off. I'm not saying that's paranormal because they're blinds. Like, who knows? Maybe didn't pull it down tight enough. But literally within like 5 minutes of that happening, the baby monitor, my daughter's only about 20 months old at the time. We hear mine come through the baby monitor. We get up, go grab her, bring her in our bedroom. She pretty much slept in that room for the next 8 months. She wasn't sleeping in her own bedroom. She was sleeping with us. 3 to 4 days later, I don't know the exact day, my wife is changing our daughter, and she has 3 very long, thick scratch marks right down her back. These marks were not made by herself because they were too big and wide. I checked everyone's hands. No one's fingers were big enough to make those scratches except for mine. And I have really big hands because I'm a bigger guy. I didn't scratch her back. I didn't do that. So what the hell did? And if you go by the belief of demons or whatever, that's mocking the Holy Trinity if you go into that realm of belief. That's the sign of 3. That's them marking her with 3. It's a demonic thing. So at this point, the next morning I go on protective dad mode. I go through the entire house and every corner of the house, and I'm trying to banish whatever this is because they're not going after my daughter like she is a baby. And I pretty much call this everything and I can think of. Hold it a big couple of choice words, and told to come after me. Because if you're going after a baby, you're nothing but a big P word. And you need to come after me because she's literally a toddler, and come fight me. Well, nothing ever happened. So we thought that was the end of it. Up until recently. And now, looking back, there was a lot of other things that were going on that we were just not really paying attention to. My daughter, this is probably about 2 years ago now, she started having an imaginary friend. And her imaginary friend was named Chloe. Weird name, but come to find out, my wife said Chloe is Bluey's best friend. And at the time, my daughter was really, really into Bluey. So I didn't think a whole lot about it because whatever. And then she started to talk about some of the things that Chloe would do. Chloe knocked her off the bed. Chloe sleeps under her bed. Chloe said this. So finally, I'm like, What is Chloe? Like, what does she look like? I'm pretty sure she told me I don't remember if she said blue or purple. I think she said purple. I'm like, okay, well, Bluey's Bluey. You're blue, so Chloe purple. Okay, makes sense. But I'm not smart enough to just shut up. I keep asking questions. I'm like, oh, why is she purple? Because she's dead?
Oh,
I'm like, what? She's like 3. She's like, she's a ghost. I was like,
duh.
Yeah, I was like, no more talking to Chloe. Chloe's not welcome here. Chloe needs to leave. Chloe's not allowed to be here anymore. So we told her she's not allowed to talk about Chloe. No more imaginary friends, no more Chloe, no more anything like that, because they're not good things to talk to. We didn't really hear much else or have anything weird going on. I never did feel like there's something here. But when your kid shouldn't even know what a ghost is or anything about death, it perks you up. You're like, what is going on? You know?
It's odd that she associated the color purple with death. That is a 3-year-old would not know that.
Yeah.
What the heck are they teaching you on Bluey?
So, yeah. And then it wasn't too long after that I started doing the podcast. And after I started doing the podcast, I don't remember if I mentioned on this one or it might have been on mine when I said that when you start looking into things, things start looking back. Someone had left that comment to me on Facebook. And so I was like, why do you say that, person, Mr. Mystery Person here on Facebook leaving a vague comment? They said, I worry about you and your family. Because sometimes you start looking into things start looking back. So I'm concerned for your family. I was like, my family's fine. I'm not worried about that, anything. And then about a couple weeks later, my daughter starts having very bad night terrors. She doesn't want to sleep in her bed anymore. She's afraid. And then we started noticing in the winter, her bedroom, for whatever reason, is the only room in the house in the very corner that gets condensation on the ceiling. It just like bubbles up with water.
Oh, yeah.
I have sent someone up there to look in the attic because I'm a chicken shit and I will not go in an attic because I don't like in tight spaces. So I hired someone to go up and check the attic out and make sure it's not leaking or anything like that. We have a newer metal roof. It was put on like 6-7 years ago. There was nothing wet in the attic. There's no moisture or anything like that. So I can't explain why just that corner of her room randomly gets water dribbles or droplets. It doesn't ever drop though. It just bubbles right on the corner.
Interesting.
Very strange. And when she sees it, she doesn't want to stay in her room. She's afraid of the water. She just turned 5 a couple weeks ago. But back in November, and I told you guys I'd seen that weird orange orb, looked like a UFO or something burning out behind our house out in the field, up in the air, and it kind of looked like one of those Chinese lanterns, or I thought was a flare. That was like one of the first weird things that we'd noticed. And it was actually the night that I interviewed with Rye and Tom. We did that little swap cast. I think it was December 6th or 7th, something like that. We were coming home from the school, and there was this big, I thought it was Starlink. There was a bunch of lights right out in front of our house, so I could see it from the stop sign before we got home, and they were in a line. And I actually have some of it on video, but it's strange. If I send the entire video, no one can see it, but you can still see it on my phone if you watch the video on my phone. But once we got to the house, you can even see on the video, you can see it, and then it just disappears. And it wasn't Starlink. Come to find out, Starlink wasn't anywhere visible from my area at that point. So I don't know what the hell that was. But not too long after that, or maybe it was right before it, I don't really remember. But my son, who's 2, was laying in bed with it. He started having the same night issues. He wouldn't sleep during the night, wanted to sleep in our bed. He's never done that before up until just this past winter. He's laying in between my wife and I looking up at the ceiling, and he says, "Daddy, ghost. Ghost, Daddy." He has no idea what a ghost is. He barely talks. He's just now starting to talk more. Why is one of those words that he's saying as plain as day as ghost? My wife's like, "Are you listening to him?" I'm facing the wall. I was like, "Yep." I'm not looking. I don't want to see what he's looking at. I don't want to see no ghost. I was like, "Yep, I hear him." What's he looking at? I was like, ugh. So I turn over and look, and I don't see anything. Like, I look up the ceiling, there's a shadow, but the shadow's from the light from the fan that she insists that we have to have on. So she can't sleep without a fan on, so the fan's got like a blue light, so it's causing a shadow in the ceiling. It's like, he must just be seeing that shadow. But he curls up next to her terrified. She's like, he's shaking. And he just kept saying ghost. I never saw anything. Finally got him calmed down. He went to sleep, and at about 4:30 in the morning, he wakes up. He's like, "Daddy, Baba, Baba." It means he wants a bottle. He still drinks milk out of a bottle. So I went up to the kitchen and got him something. But before I left the room, he's like, "Oh, Daddy, ghost gone. Ghost gone."
Nice.
My wife's like, "Did you hear him?" I was like, "Yeah, I heard him. Ghost gone." Well, I didn't see any ghosts. So the next day, I went through the whole house again. Did the thing like I did when we first moved in, trying to banish whatever this thing is, going after my children. And then when my daughter got home, I asked her, "Can you draw me a picture of Chloe?" Because weirdly enough, I had a dream that night. And in my dream, I drew this little tiny figure that had like really long dark hair, and it was purple. It almost looked like a little, remember those charm trolls?
Yeah.
Like the long-haired troll toys or whatever. For some reason, I kept thinking of that. Like, it was in my dream, and I kind of drew something before she came home, and I wanted to see what she drew. She didn't draw anything like what I drew. I was like, okay. So she drew Chloe as red. I was like, oh. She's red now? So I don't put a whole lot of stock into what she drew at this point, because it doesn't. Now, had she drawn something that looked identical to what I drew, then I'd probably have just set the house on fire and said, "That's it," because we're out of here.
I'm actually really glad for you that that's not how that went.
Oh, don't worry. It gets even creepier. It doesn't really get any, it doesn't get much better. So we figured out that, well, no, this was a Friday night. I have this on video. My son comes up from his bedroom, which is back same area where the other crap happens, and he's terrified again. You can see, like, he's nervous. He's like, "Daddy, ghost, Daddy, ghost, gone, ghost, ghost." And you can see his hand movements. Like, I was like, "You want to go look for it?" Ghost out. Like, what is he seeing? Like, I don't see nothing. Like, I don't see anything that he could possibly be seeing, but I don't know what to do. So I feel like my kids are being targeted again, and I feel like I can't help them because I don't see anything. I don't know what I'm doing, and it makes me feel awful. But he really hasn't mentioned ghost very much since then. Excuse me. And Christmas happens, and right before Christmas, I have this dream, and I say it's a dream. Everyone laughed at me because it wasn't on Christmas Day. It was like the Saturday before Christmas or something. So it was like 2 days, or I don't remember what day Christmas was on, but I remember we had our Christmas at the house with my wife's family. Like, her sisters and mom came over or whatever. And it was the night before. My son was sleeping between us because that's usually where he's always at now. And in my dream, these weird little humanoids are trying to take him. And they look like little aliens, but they're not like the gray alien. They look pink. They're like fleshy pink colored little. I go back to the whole maybe troll looking things. They didn't have long hair. They were bald. They look like, I don't know how to describe. They look very strange alien looking things, and they were like pulling on him. Well, I was swinging on these MFers. Like I was punching and kicking and fighting, trying to get him back. And it sounds ridiculous, but one of them stuck something up my nose. And I woke up. And I freak out because he's not laying next to me. Like when we went to sleep, he's laying between my... So I'm looking for him. He somehow managed to get underneath the covers and went all the way to the end of the bed. I have no idea how he had done that. So I grab him, bring him up, lay him between us, somehow fall back to sleep. The next morning, I get up and go take my morning ritual piss. And I look in the mirror. I have crusty blood on that nostril.
No.
I blew my nose and there was blood in it.
Wow.
I instantly go to my wife and tell her, and she laughs and says I must have picked my nose in my sleep, and that's what I was dreaming about. Well, then she tells her family about my dream. So they're all laughing at me, saying that, oh, when you got probed in the nose, it must have been you shoving your finger up there and probed your own self. That's why they're all getting a good chuckle out of it. I was like, screw you guys. Like, what if I wasn't dreaming? And then everyone just kind of like shut up and like looked at me like I'm crazy. But like, seriously, what in the hell? How do you explain that? What are the oddness of having a bloody nose in the same nostril that you had a dream that something shoved a glow thing up in your nostril and you woke up instantly?
Yeah.
That's weird.
A
Well,
little bit.
it gets weirder.
No.
We go to Disney World right after Christmas. Our Christmas present to the kids was we took them to Disney. We went and stayed for a week down in Disney. We get back, and it's maybe the second week of January, second or third week. We have a fridge out in the garage. It's an attached garage, and we keep most of our drinks out there, like the extra milk, the pop, the water, whatever. We keep it all out in the fridge in the garage. That way it doesn't take up the fridge in the kitchen. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, I'm thirsty, so I went out there to grab a drink. I come back in. There's our kitchen. Then the hallway that goes down to where our bedrooms are. I seen a shadow, maybe 15 to 18 inches tall, hauling ass down the hallway. I take off after this damn shadow, and it goes right towards where my daughter's bedroom is. I open the door. She's actually sleeping in her bed for once. She wasn't in our room. I look around. I don't see anything. So they have night lights. Every one of my kids is afraid of the dark. Even my wife. So we always have to have night lights. I'm not afraid of the dark, so I don't really care. But we always have night lights on, so I can still see everything anyways. I didn't see nothing in her room or anything in her room, so I go back and just lay down. Kind of tell my wife about it the next day. And then a few weeks go by. I think it was probably the end of January, the 1st of February. My dog is chewing on something. I'm like, what are you eating? So I grab her mouth and she drops a tooth on the ground.
What?
Now this tooth looks like, I'm actually going to send it to you right now and you can share. I don't know how to share it on here, but this tooth looks very much like a human tooth. And I pick it up. I was like, what is this? This is weird. I show my wife. She got home from work. I don't know whatever happened with the tooth. Like, I set it on the board. She looked at it. She agreed that it looks strange. She really thinks it is a human tooth. And just send them to you.
Okay.
I don't know what goes on with the teeth, whatever. She looked at them, whatever. And then, about 2 or 3 weeks ago now,
Share it, Drew.
my dog was chewing on something again, and my son's yelling at her. He's like, "What are you eating?" And she drops what I just sent Drew. These were the second ones that were dropped. I pick it up and I said, show my wife, like, she must have found that tooth again. My wife is now white as a ghost. She said she threw those teeth. She said she threw it in the trash.
That's 100% a human's tooth. Look, it has the root that goes up.
Yeah.
So
That's not a child's tooth either. That's like an adult tooth.
but she swears she threw that tooth away. And she also agrees that this is the same exact tooth. So how the hell did that tooth come back?
The magic tooth.
So me being me, I took the tooth down the road and threw it into my asshole neighbor's field out back because
Dude, come on.
they can
Hey,
have the
whatever
bad juju.
works, man. Whatever works.
So
This is for you.
I wish I would have marked on the tooth with like a Sharpie or something. I didn't think about it
Oh, yeah.
afterward. That way, if it comes up again, then I'll know it's the same tooth that came back because I literally chucked that thing. She said she threw it in the trash and it came back. So if it comes back again from the field, then I don't know what to do. But that is apparently a thing, a paranormal thing that goes on. Is
Tooth.
people have been
Mhm.
finding random teeth in their house now.
Yeah.
I've never heard that until just recently.
It used to be pennies. My mom would always find pennies when somebody was going to pass away, but then now it's teeth. That's the thing.
Well, it's funny because we keep having silverware come up missing. Most of our spoons just come up missing. Can't explain what happened to them. And I don't know how far off you guys have ever went to with the whole stories of fairies and fae and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
supposedly that is one of the things that they do is steal your silverware.
Yeah.
And then I was
Also-
like, well, if you go into the whole fae theory, we have like reverse tooth fairy here. Instead of taking teeth, they're bringing teeth.
Thank you. Hey, keep it up. You'd have a whole set of dentures.
Yeah. So that is the recent event. I forgot to mention back in, I think, October, my older kids had friends over and they were down in the basement trying to have a seance.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah, so I came down and ripped them a complete new one. I was like, you should know better considering the crap that we've already went through, and you know how I am, and you're going to open up something and you're not going to be able to close it. And those friends have never returned. Ever since I was like, I don't care. Go home and tell your parents that the crazy dad started screaming about demons and stuff at them, and they don't want to come back over. So, but no, that is
It's wild.
that is the weird stuff that has been happening in the house recently. And like I said, those teeth that I sent you was from probably 3 weeks ago.
You got to let me know if that tooth pops up again.
I don't
Yes.
even know what I'm going to do if I find more teeth.
I think your original plan of burning the house down suffices here.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
We
I'm
have
just
an exorcist friend if you need one. Father Vincent Lambert out of Indianapolis can help you.
And also, Sean Whittington is also an exorcist. friend
Sean
of the
Whittington
show.
is an exorcist too.
That
Yeah.
was a big thing for me when we first started. Was I wanted to try to get those types of shows because that's what Art used to do.
yeah.
And so we have connections all throughout the community, I guess.
I've thought about having someone come in and like cleanse the house or whatever,
With fire.
but since none of us are like super religious or anything like that, so if we don't really believe in that, is that really going to help? It's kind of where I come
I mean,
to.
do you have to believe in it for it to be real?
I believe that that's typically what everybody says, or at least that's what Malachi Martin used to say, was that for you to invoke it, you have to kind of believe it or it won't work.
We don't even really talk about the weird things that go on because my wife and I said we didn't want to give it any extra power,
Right.
like
Yeah.
be afraid of it or believing into it or talking about it or making the kids afraid of it. Like all that's going to do is cause it to manifest something else. Like I don't want to make an egregore or something like that of giving whatever this energy is I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's a demon. I'm not gonna say it's a ghost. I don't know what it could possibly be. Like my dream was a friggin' alien looking thing that I was popping in the face. So it's like I don't know.
Till there's seances in your basement, right?
Yeah. And it's weird because, and I've said this too, and I feel hypocritical for saying it, but like, I really struggle with people that come on and tell me they've had this experience, this experience, this experience. Like, if you've had so many experiences, I'm starting to doubt that person. But now here I am being a hypocrite because of all the weird things that have been going on. And I can't say it's related to the podcast because this stuff happened when we first moved in. I didn't even start doing the podcast till September of 2022. Like, we moved in October of 2020, and she had the scratches and stuff on her back, and we heard the voice to the thing. So that was there from the moment we moved in.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Strange.
I don't know. Like I said, that's when you're a parent, it's really hard, especially like when they're so young. You don't know what they're seeing, what they're saying. Like, are they just imagining things? You don't know. But when I'm finding teeth, when the dog is eating teeth, where the hell's the dog coming for teeth? My friend convinced me to go outside, and I did. I went outside and looked. Thought I was going to find like a human skull somewhere where the dogs, we have off the side of the deck where the dog's going to run out and go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to find like a human head that they dug up or something out back and bring it in bones. I was like, well, that explains everything, but I never found a head, so no jaw bones or anything.
Yet.
Yeah, yet.
Yeah.
But that's the gist of my weird experiences, so hopefully your listeners...
That's a movie right in and of itself, right there.
My life is a movie. It's a...
Yeah.
probably a comedy at this point.
Well, now that you're on here, it's definitely a comedy.
As soon as JC starts trying to make some jokes.
I've been sneaking them in there. They just been falling flat like usual.
Yeah, it was typical bombing. But that's incredible stuff, and thank you for sharing it for sure. I know it's definitely not easy. I'm looking at that again.
It's something different than what we've had on the show as well too. Like we don't get a lot of stories like that. Like we get like cryptid encounter stories or I saw Bigfoot, but like not things specifically like that. So it's nice to have a change of pace, even at your expense, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad I can make interesting content for people, I guess. my life story has made a great episode for people.
Yeah, that's just some jarring stuff. It just doesn't look like it would even belong to any animal that it could have. That is a molar. That is
It is. I think we figured out it's like an incisor, like one of the teeth, like right here, right when your teeth start to get back into your big molars, like the ones right in front of the molar.
Okay.
That's what what I think it kind of looks like. So I sent it off to the Hollow Sky podcast, and those guys did an episode, and they talked about teeth, and they said the same thing. They're pretty sure it's human teeth. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I'm not a tooth expert, but it doesn't look very, I checked the dog's mouth. She wasn't missing teeth.
Yeah. So
in the likelihood of finding two of the same exact teeth, even if they are different, that look identical, is very strange. I went on Reddit and people said when people find teeth, rodents are bringing them in. So not to be concerned by it, that's just being brought in by mice. Okay, well, where the hell are the mice getting the teeth? That's what concerns me. Like,
yeah, right. The teeth just don't grow out of the ground.
They don't bring up like teeth from anywhere. Like clearly they're getting the teeth from something. So I'd like to know where the head is, so I can figure out where the teeth's coming from. Because maybe if I can find it, it'll solve all my problems in the house.
Downvote.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions here.
Don't make logical sense on Reddit.
Are you advertising your podcast right now?
You're now banned.
Ban hammer. There you go. Now I feel like something.
You just got negative 45 downvotes. Oh, thanks.
I think if you're okay with it, we could probably wrap up with that. I wish I had some answers or some guidance for you, but we'll just have
No.
to end with the mystery of that tooth situation.
Yeah.
We'll
If any of
we'll
your
get
listeners have any ideas, they can always reach out to me and let me know what type of rodents bringing the teeth in.
yes, please do. Uh, we will go ahead and include all of your links and stuff in the show notes. But why don't you go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you?
It's grifting time, baby.
Yeah. Look for Tinfoil Tales wherever you listen to Sasquatchers. And make sure you're finding the Tinfoil Tales that is not the Australian version, because there is an Australian version of Tinfoil Tales that talks about the cookers out in the middle of nowhere of the outback. And that is not my podcast. So my podcast has a logo of Tinfoil Tales with some aliens and some Bigfoot looking, monster looking things. If you find one with just Tinfoil Tales with a tinfoil hat on it and a blood drippy logo, that is the Australian Outback Cookers. That is not the show that I host. I don't know why when I made my show that I never thought to look and make sure no one else had a show, but apparently that show came out 2 months before mine did. So it is what it is. But no, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen to podcasts. There is a YouTube channel, so go to the YouTube, subscribe. I don't do live videos that often on there, so it's just basically videos from audio versions with like the standard artwork from the episode up, like a static image. But other than that, there is a Patreon, and there is all the social medias, which I am terrible with social media, so mainly look for Instagram or Facebook, because the other ones I have I do not use. Or you can go to tinfoiltales.com and has all that goody stuff on there as well. It'll take you to all of the links to listen, or you can even listen on the website. So that is about the gist of it.
All right, awesome. Definitely seek all that stuff out. This was a lot of fun. It was intriguing. I had goosebumps through some of it. It was a long conversation between your show and mine, but I'll say that it was about the easiest 4 hours that I could have asked for, and I appreciate it greatly. And
Wait a minute, he just talked about the Amityville horrors a couple days ago. We just did a supernatural town hall session on the Amityville horror. Wait, was that the same day?
It's a favorite
No,
topic.
that was last week. Yeah,
I recorded that episode with Rich from Founding Lore Fathers back in the middle of January. So,
okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I have a backlog, so when the episodes come out, they're recorded like weeks to months in advance. But,
cool. I'll be checking that one out for sure. And anybody listening, make sure you check it out. We're going to go ahead and hit the outro here and thank our guests for being on, and thank our listeners for supporting us. And
thanks,
we
guys.
will see you next time. Thanks for squatching, everybody.
Squatch you later.